In December 2020, a fitness company, Peloton, was riding an incredible high. It had over 1 million paying subscribers and a market valuation of roughly $15 billion. That's a market cap of Nasdaq or Warren Bros right now. Not bad for a company that sold stationary bikes, right? But just 3 years later, that number had shriveled to just $2 billion. Some dismissed it as a bad luck, the evaporation of pandemic demand. But the real story is more complicated. The collapse wasn't inevitable. It was the direct result of bad leadership choices, which triggers massive financial losses, serious public backlash, and, unfortunately, some tragic deaths. I'm Mike Inishev, and in this video we'll explore the dramatic rise and fall of Peloton and what lessons we, as small business owners and entrepreneurs, can learn from their story. Subscribe to my channel so your business never becomes a cautionary tale and gets into video like this. Now, turn your pedals and let's start. The story of Peloton begins in 2012 with its founder John Foley. He was a classic entrepreneur, a hustler, and an achiever. The downside of that lifestyle? A serious lack of time. Foley loved the energy and vibe of spin classes, but he simply couldn't fit them into his schedule. So he asked himself a simple question: how could he bring that experience home? He spent the next few years working to create his perfect replica of a high-intensity, engaging spin class for his living room. This result was a $2,000 bicycle connected to an iPad. The idea was to become the Netflix for spin class. It was an instant hit, especially among driven people like John himself, those who wanted an intense workout but also needed time for everything else. The bike even became a status symbol. People loved it, and a passionate community emerged, proudly calling themselves the Pillow People. By 2017, its subscriber base had grown to 100,000 people, and the VCs invested in it, valuing the business at over $4 billion. Crazy, right? The momentum continued, and by 2019 the company went public, raising over $1 billion in its IPO. I want you to notice that in its IPO filing, Peloton declared, "We believe physical activity is fundamental to a healthy and happy life. Our ambition is to empower people to improve their lives through fitness. We are a technology company that meshes the physical and digital worlds to create a completely new, immersive, and connected fitness experience." This wasn't just marketing. Peloton's infinite goal was improving lives through fitness. By 2019, Peloton had sold nearly 600,000 bikes and treadmills and built a tribe of diehards who didn't just ride, they evangelized. Fans traveled from across the country to attend live classes in New York, treating instructors like rock stars. But then, suddenly, the pandemic hit. People were stuck in their houses. They couldn't go to their gyms, couldn't do anything, and they wanted a place to exercise and feel connected. So, what did they do? Of course, they started buying Pelotons. Orders exploded. Subscriptions doubled. In May 2020, at the height of this frenzy, CEO John Foley gave Time magazine a new vision. "I see a couple of 100 million people on the Peloton platform in 15 years." It was a subtle but profound shift. Remember, Peloton's initial idea, empowering lives through fitness. Now, the metric wasn't impact, it was scale. But there is a little discrepancy. Peloton's own filings less than a year earlier had sized its total addressable market at just 14 million connected fitness products, with only 12 million in the US. The leap from 500k units sold to a couple hundred million wasn't ambitious, it was a fantasy. At first, the surge felt intoxicating. Sales were up 66%. Pandemic demand for Pelotons was crazy. So the problem came from supply. Customers were paying in full with a promise of delivery in 3 to 5 weeks, but in reality, it was taking people 8 to 10 weeks or more to get a bike delivered to their home. And they were pissed about it. They were angry and they were demanding Peloton to ship them one. So, What did Peloton do when a bunch of people were screaming for their product? They were advertising. Yeah, they ran a 90-day free trial in May 2020 when they were completely out of stock. They spent $4 million on this campaign, stocking demand while their shelves were empty. But their biggest mistake was waiting ahead. Peloton went all in on trying to produce bikes and treadmills as quickly as possible. In just 6 months, they spent a fortune on expanding capacity. They bought exercise equipment maker Precor for $420 million. And then they decided that wasn't enough. So they dumped $400 million more into an Ohio factory that was going to build bikes and treadmills for the company. It was a breathtaking gamble, doubling down on exponential growth as if the pandemic boom would last forever. But by the time construction began, demand was already cooling. Gyms were reopening, the used Peloton market was glutted. By mid-2022, Peloton had 500 days of inventory on hands, warehouses stacked with unsold bikes and treadmills. They could shut their factories down for 500 days in a row without running out of stock. This is the textbook bullwhip effect, when a short-term demand spike amplifies into massive overproduction. What makes Peloton collapse so striking isn't just the size of the fall, but how many warnings they ignored. Instead of balancing optimism with caution, they focused only on excitement-confirming signals. For example, there were market signals. In November 2020, Pfizer announced a vaccine that would reopen gyms. Peloton stocks dropped 20% overnight. Nevertheless, a month later, they spent $420 million on Precor. There were also data signals. In the 2020 annual report, their own analytics highlighted the risk of a post-pandemic demand collapse. Yet leadership simply ignored it, investing as if the boom would last forever. And of course, there were clear PR signals. For example, the backlash to the infamous Peloton Vive ad wiped 9% from the company's stock value. Then, in 2029, Peloton was forced to recall 125,000 treadmills following more than 70 injury reports and a tragic child's death. Soon after came the final blow, the first episode of the Sex and the City reboot. And just like that, where the beloved characters Mr. Big was killed off while riding a Peloton bike. Fans were in shock, as well as Peloton's reputation. All these events caused the company's share price to whiplash repeatedly, serving as a stark reminder that brand love was not indestructible. At the same time, engagement metrics, the company's best leading indicator of retention, were stagnating. Churn was quietly rising. Yet leadership doubled down on manufacturing bets instead of recalibrating to their community. Meanwhile, competitors was not sitting on the sidelines. Companies like SoulCycle and Echelon were launching their own versions of copycats of the Peloton models. However, Peloton made a critical strategic error that worsened the situation. They launched a digital-only subscription for $12.99 per month. This allowed customers to access the Peloton app and community on any cheaper third-party bike for a fraction of cost. This move severely undercut their own premium hardware business and was a disastrous misstep. So, by 2022, Peloton was sitting on 120,000 unsold bicycles in their warehouses. Pre-con couldn't be sold. Peloton output park shut down before it even hit stride. The company returned to outsourcing with Rexon, but the money was gone, and so the hype was over. Faced with these issues, the board replaced founder John Foley in 2022 with Barry McCarthy, a former Netflix and Spotify executive, to lead a post-pandemic turnaround. McCarthy has been off to a promising start. He significantly reduced the scale of the business and refocused its strategy on its true competitive advantage. Not the hardware, but the software. This new direction has already yielded in the first cash flow positive quarter in a while. However, it's still too early to declare a full recovery. As we've seen, our confidence can be a dangerous trap. In my view, Peloton's fundamental mistake was focusing entirely on acquiring new customers and ramping up production of bikes and treadmills, rather than building a smart, effective retention strategy. If only they had known about the Boomerang Me loyalty platform, right? But jokes aside, Peloton's story isn't really about bikes. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when leaders lose sight of their core purpose. They abandoned their original mission, shifted from promoting a healthy lifestyle to chasing pure profit. They became intoxicated by success, overinvesting in manufacturing for a product that was ultimately a niche luxury. They ignored critical warning signs, choosing only to listen to data that confirmed their excitement. In the end, the Peloton problem wasn't a lack of data, it was a lack of perspective.